It's the Doug Ryan Show. Well, the Doug Ryan Show. Well, the Doug Ryan Show. And I'm Doug Rice. Oh, baby, yeah. 7 o'clock in the morning, that's me. Get up. Get up. That's right. You've been sleeping in late long enough. Good morning. I know it's rough. Doug Rice Show, 7 o'clock in the morning. You know, you can imagine my neighbors when they hear that dawning. Boy, I bet I'm their wake-up call. I bet that's it and that's all. Get up. You got plenty of time to sleep when you're dead. All right, folks, you heard what I said. My name's Doug Rice. Welcome to the Doug Rice Show. The 2nd of November, let's see how this goes. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Now, you guys could see there in the opening salvo, I was trying to convey this letter from the Pope to Obama. Now, I found this non-discriminate piece of literature online. I remember seeing it in 2014. It crossed my mind, but I didn't give it too much thought until today. And so what I tried to do in the opening there, I tried to show pages 1 through 5, which I intend to read here live. And then we're going to get into segregation in America, a history not forgotten. And I'm going to tell you something, folks. Today's events, today's occurrences, today, as it relents and things are stirring, it's an indicator of prophecy being fulfilled. Now, as everyone else goes about their day, you know, indiscriminately, non-discriminately, you know, minding their own business, tooting their own horn, they're not really understanding that prophecy's been born. Most just go about their lives and just, you know, what do they say? In quiet desperation. They have no consideration for the Negro nation. But I listened to Brother Yacoba, T.L. Ministries, and I don't know if you guys do, but I recommend, you know, those individuals, specifically their most current programs. I share my platform on their pages, so I feel it an obligated responsibility to, you know, to plug my spiritual brothers and sisters, those who are certainly leaps and bounds above anything I might say. So I listen to those guys, and yesterday's live was amazing in my eyes. They're talking about us leaving. They're talking about the second Exodus. They're talking about all the puzzles put together right next to us. They are really putting it together. And I tend to lean in the direction of those brothers conscious of Negro protection. You know, those individuals are Negro-centric, and they're much more attuned spiritually than me. And by yesterday's show I was on, and I did see, you know, the closeness of our Exodus approaches closely. So today, as I look into this letter from the Pope, and then I look into the segregation in America that someone wrote, what I'm trying to convey on this live today is that it is time for Negroes to be on their way. If you're not in that mode, if you're not there, if you're not ready and ready to go, well, I got to tell you, I just don't know. Now, I just had a little alert there said that my connection went up, down for a moment, so I hope I'm back live. The reason that I wasn't able to show you all of these pages, there were 5, is because I was looking at chat and I saw the moderator, Detrina, telling everybody to check out my social media pages, and please do. Don't do it in stages. Do it all at once, you know? I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram. I'm on everything I can imagine. Yes, I am. So please like, subscribe, share this program. No, it's not a program, it's alive. I said that yesterday as well, didn't I? Program. It's not. I'm not programming you, I'm deprogramming you. Maybe I'll call it share this deprogramming as quickly as you can. But let's see what Obama got written to by the man. Oh, yeah, okay, let's do this. Share this, all right? Check this out. I want to know what this is about. Letter from Pope Francis to Obama. What? I read through this scantily some time ago. I offhandedly, and it wasn't something I really took seriously. I just thought more it was mysterious. See, all right. Issued to all members of the Domestic Police Forces, U.S. Marshal Service, the Provost Marshal, members of the American Bar Association, and the American Armed Services. Now, I don't know the validity of this letter. I know that it is in a lot of places. There are 5 pages. I'm going to read all of them, then we're going to get to the topic, but this shouldn't take too much time. So drop it. All right. Letter from Pope Francis to Obama. These organic American states of the Union, known as the United States of America, Major, exercising plenary civil power upon the land, hereby appoint this individual, General Carter F. Ham, who, to lead and command the Grand Army of the Republic and its successors under the guidance of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and with their full support. Hold on. So Pope Francis, what up? You penned this, and the opening salvo is you telling Obama how it's gonna go. Well, wouldn't you know? Should it become necessary to suppress commercial mercenary forces operating under the guise of being federal government agencies, including but not limited to the Department of Homeland Security, the Federal Emergency Management Administration, the Internal Revenue Service, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, etc., General Ham shall assume immediate command and control all armed forces and services owed to the United States of America, Major, stationed in North America, and shall join them under his command as the Grand Army of the Republic. All forces of air, land, and sea are to be employed. If I might take a pause for the goddamn what the hell hit me calls. Now, look, I read, I write, okay? I do it all day and I do it all night. But somebody put this together. You hear me? This is a directive. I was in the military. I served this rapacious, racist, inflacious country. I don't know if that's a word, but it rhymed. And I know how things are put together, how things are measured and mannered and worded and, verbed and all of this. And this does not sound beyond the pale of disbelief. This, in fact, sounds more like a military brief. But let's read a little bit more and we might get some relief. Oh, goodness. Okay, let's talk. This is a letter from Pope Francis to Obama. Let's just keep going. Any cost or loss suffered as a result of deployment of this thing they call the Grand Army of the Republic shall be charged as stipulated prior. What? Did you hear that? Any cost or loss suffering as a result of deployment of the Grand Army of the Republic shall be charged as stipulated prior. Now, let me tell you what that legalese mumbo jumbo says. What that says is that at any cost, any loss that may be suffered as a result of deployment. Now, folks, pay attention because I dissect verbiage. That word deployment encapsulates everything in the above paragraph. And that deployment is some way out heavy nonsense. And let me tell you why. Whoever General Ham is, whoo, boy, you better stay out his way. And whoever took his place, you stay out his way and stay out his face. Again, stipulated prior means that any cost or loss suffered, and that loss can encapsulate human loss, property loss, any mental loss, any of that loss is stipulated prior. Charged as stipulated prior means that we are already acquiescing to the fact that this loss may happen and give it, in fact, its due attention, which is absolutely none, if I might mention. That's a cold sentence. Share this live, folks. I don't do this for my health. I do this for Negroes' mental wealth. I like that. All effort shall be made by the grand army of the Republic to spare life and property while undertaking any action whatsoever within the states of the Union without exception. Well, I should have read ahead a little bit, huh? I don't read ahead. I need you to understand that I never read ahead. I fairly read ahead. I barely read ahead there. The GAR, and again, folks, let me reference the GAR. The GAR obviously is an acronym for the Grand Army of the Republic, something I have never heard of. I've never heard of. Anybody? No? Okay. The GAR is uniquely enabled by these capital O orders to operate on the land of the 50 organic states for the purposes of securing the lives and property of the American states and American state citizens. Whoa! Who wrote this? Oh yeah, the Pope. Now, I don't know how smart Pope Francis might be, but he sounds pretty intelligent to me. Okay. The GAR is not a foreign army. Please turn. And is composed primarily of American state citizens. And who are these citizens? Now tell me they're not the white supremacists that you got roaming around the countryside all wild and out and whatnot. Those are, hopefully you guys have some underground folks that have some stability in their mentality and not some folks that'll just go beyond any abnormality. I'm hoping that's the case, old Popey boy. If required to take field position, oh really? The local commander shall make every effort to communicate the basis of their authority and the reasons for their presence on American state soil to ensure a prompt cessation of hostilities and a widespread understanding of the usurpations and acts of fraud which have led to, and folks, you need to pay attention to this three-letter frickin' word, any conflict. Ladies and germs, what have we learned? Folks, I look at yesterday's show with Brother Yacoba, and let me tell you what they were talking about, just so you know. They were talking about, in a left-handed way, this kind of very happenstance, this very circumstance. This may not be by chance. This is amazing because they're making moves. They're doing things. I see troop movements and sticks and swings. I'm not playing. You guys know what I'm saying. You've seen the trains, you've seen the planes, you've seen the automobiles. Might not be too long before we see the tanks in the fields. And they say for any circumstance, any reason, any conflict. Let me tell you, the scripture says these people are going to be put in chains. And I mean that's going to happen to what few of them that remain. And if this document, this letter from the Pope to Obama, if this has any validity, well, this puts things in a whole new frame. All parties must be brought to understand the nature of the federal government, the limitations of its authority, and their own obligation to act in favor of the organic states of the Union. The Grand Army of the Republic shall continue to operate under General Order 100, known as the Lieber Code. Extant from the pen of the last Republic President, Abraham Lincoln. What the hell were these folks thinking? All right, I need somebody to look up Lieber Code while I continue here in mode. No orders, executive or otherwise, issued by Barack H. Obama pretending authority on the land of the American states while operating as president, quote unquote, of the United States Corporation, nor as the quote unquote president of the United States of America minor. Listen, if this doesn't make any sense, I hear them hissing. Listen, folks, this is real. Wait a minute. Let me check out this deal. Hold up. Now, this is from the Pope to Obama. This is from 2014. I just found this, if you know what I mean. I'm going to read that again because, yeah, I need to see that again. No orders, executive or otherwise, issued by Barack Obama. And let's substitute Barack Obama for any U.S. sitting president, because if this is coming from the Pope, let's just assume this is in perpetuity. This is just a letter he handed him. How do we know that every president doesn't get this letter at some point? How do we know that the current feeble-minded president is now not in possession of this very letter? So no orders, executive or otherwise, issued by any president pretending authority on the land of two things: the American states while operating as president of the United States Corporation, that's one, nor as the president of the United States of America minor, that's two. So the president, in quotes, denoting his fecklessness, his true position, which is powerless. These two entities are owed any performance by the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Ham, or any ordinary. All plainly stated grants of contractual authority evident in the Constitution of the United States of America remain in place, subject to good faith performance of the accompanying obligation and treaties. Mr. Obama, I like that. Mr. Obama is the president, quote unquote, of a governmental services corporation under contract to provide stipulated services to the organic states and is on their payroll. He otherwise acts as a foreign dignitary representing the United States of America minor. Okay, so obviously the opening of the show is pretty good. In neither of these capacities is he allowed any granted authority to impose upon American state citizens, endanger American state property, or command mercenary forces on American state soil, however veiled as federal civilian service agencies. We require the Joint Chiefs of Staff and General Ham to commence measures to disarm federal civilian agencies personnel and to seize control of the vast stockpiles of arms which have been improperly amassed by the Department of Homeland Security, FEMA, and other agencies employed by the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, this document is a reprint. It's somebody, I took it from a reprint. I discovered it, but there was myriads of copies. Some I'm to understand are more originals with seals. And while we're reading this, if you feel, go ahead and look it up yourself. I didn't make this up. The only federal agency allowed free egress on the land of the American states in the United States is the United States Marshals Service. That makes sense. And then only when their personnel are engaged in their duty to protect, the U.S. mail and sworn to act as constitutional officers. All other federal agency personnel are limited to unarmed service until further notice. Folks, you know these folks are going to be put in chains, right? Here I'm going to say this, see if you can relate. The Euphrates River dried up. So read Revelation before it's too late. Wow. We direct the Joint Chiefs of Staff to communicate these first two general civil orders directly to Mr. Obama. The members of the United States Congress, the administrators of all federal agencies, the members of the Supreme Court, and those acting as governors to compel their rapid understanding and cooperation. To compel their rapid understanding. Get it quick! That's what the Pope just said. Whoa! Any expense or damage incurred by these organic states or any American state citizen as a result of actions undertaken by any federal agency personnel acting as armed mercenaries on American state soil will be understood as the result of violent crimes committed against the peaceful inhabitants of the land and will incur immediate judgment liquidating the assets of the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, and the Federal Reserve in payment of the stipulated reparations. What? Such crimes shall also be considered contract default, increasing the public debt subject to bounty. Any and all corporate offices of the United States or any successor organizations inheriting federal service contracts who support, condone, or promote such crimes against the American states or against American state citizens shall be subject to arrest and prosecution for commercial and violent crimes. All foreign officials operating as elected or appointed officials of the United States of America, minor, who support, condone, or promote such crimes against the American states or against American state citizens shall be subject to arrest, confiscation of their assets, and deportation to Puerto Rico, Guam, or other states as may be willing to receive them. My goodness. Look, man, hey, Pope, relax, bro. Somebody should have reviewed this, kind of reviewed this, though. I mean, and hey, Pope, dial it back a little bit, baby. What's up? You mad this morning? Have some coffee. Take a cup. Such foreign officials, including members of the American British Bar Associations who were licensed to act as privateers against the interests of the American states and the American state citizens from 1845 to 2013 in flagrant breach of trust. All such licenses are now extinguished. Members of the bar associations are required to cease and desist assaults against the American states and American state citizens, and shall be subject to arrest, confiscation, and deportation otherwise. Insomuch as corporate officers operating in the United States of America and the United States have contrived under conditions of fraud and semantic deceit to revenue the estates of the American states and living American state citizens to the foreign jurisdiction of the American states of America minor. They are found guilty of capital crimes, including acts of fraud and treason committed between 1933 and 1945, and are condemned posthumously, inasmuch as elected officials operating in the United States of America minor have similarly committed war crimes against the American states and their peaceful inhabitants during the same time period. They stand condemned posthumously. This is a letter from the Pope to Barack Obama in 2014. I suppose. Now listen, folks, I'm just reading it. Hey, listen, if I could write this good, I wouldn't be doing this show. Moving on. No enforcement upon any American state or American state citizen is owed as a result of any act or any Congress operating as the sovereign government of the United States of America minor, nor as the board of directors or board of trustees in any incorporated entity, whatsoever. All these estates and capitalized estates erroneously believed to represent the American states and American state citizens, and which were conveyed by fraud and legal deceit to the United States of America minor, and more recently to the city-state of the United States, where's that, are reviewed, revenued, without exception to the geographically defined American states and the American state citizens where they shall remain in perpetuity as assets belonging to the rightful and lawful beneficiaries. All legal fiction entities, however, structured and named after the American states and the American state citizens are returned to them and their control and free, wait. Let me read that again, because he's making a decree. All legal fiction entities, however, structured and named after the American states and American state citizens are returned to them and their control, free and clear of any debt, promise, encumbrance, or obligation alleged against them as a result of false claims made in their behalf by officers of the United States of America Incorporated and the United States Incorporated, capitalized, or by any foreign officials operating the United States of America minor, or the United Nations city-state falsely claiming to represent them or have jurisdiction over them. I'm beginning to understand what this is. We note that the current circumstance is in part the result of criminal acts engaged in 150 years ago. I think this is where we come in, which resulted in the commercial enslavement of African Americans who were summarily claimed as chattels backing U.S. government debt in the wake of the Civil War. You don't mind sharing this live, do you? Because I don't know if I'm going to read anymore if you don't. I'm going to count to 10. I'm going to begin again. You share this live. I'm going to start from that paragraph, okay? I'm going to pause for the cause. Because here's the deal. I found this, and the show's not even started yet. We're in a half hour. You know how long this show going to be, right? Because I got it in me to do it all day and all night. And I found this just researching, because that's what I do. Detrina is the producer, and she sets me on the task. You know, what she does is she finds the loose ends, the low-hanging fruit, and then she writes it out and sends it to me. And then I take a look, and I see. And this is something that I caught. And now it's something that we're going to be taught. So share this live. Don't make me beg. I'm not going to beg. Well, I'll beg, fine. Share the live right now. Come on. Get people in here. Now this again, today we're going to be looking at segregation in America. And as a result of our enslavement, we suffered through segregation in America. And to back that up, what we're reading is a letter from the Pope Francis, by name, to President Obama back 2014, I believe. Found this online, okay? After we're going to read this 4 or 5 page letter, we're going to go into segregation in America. It's a very good piece. You'll love it. But this is the reason I need your support. This is the reason I need your support. please use the links below and pay attention to Cash App, The Doug Rice Show, because that's how we get the money instantly and go. And we need the money, folks, we do. We're working on fumes. If no money's sent, we're through. All right, Katrina, I think that's good enough. Everybody in here? That wouldn't do, Doug. Come on! Share this live, like, subscribe, share, hit the like button. I don't know what you do. Do the things you got to do to get this thing out. Okay, let's read from this paragraph. My goodness. Now, again, a letter from the Pope to the President of the United States, 2014, Barack Obama, Pope Francis. Here's the letter. I don't know if it's real. If it is, just tell me how you feel. If it isn't, hey, we didn't waste any time. I got a little exercise and practice for my ride. Here we go. This is from the Pope. We note that the current circumstances, the circumstances they described of theft from what they say are American citizens, from what they call American corporations and those folks that run them. That theft is in part the result of criminal acts engaged in 150 years ago, which resulted in the commercial enslavement of African Americans who were summarily claimed as chattels, backing U.S. government debt in the wake of the Civil War. Despite every act of abolition and declaration of prohibition against both peonage and slavery, it has been the policy of the United States government, quote unquote, to enslave its citizens and to operate as a rogue state among the nations of the world. Instead of freeing African Americans, the sum total of result of the Civil War was to vastly expand public sector ownership of slaves, giving rise to the outrageous and improper claims that have been made against the United States, and the American state citizens that we are dealing with today. It is uniquely fitting that the Grand Army of the Republic is recalled to settle this circumstance in favor of the people. So now, I guess they sent this in 2014. It's 2023. I guess they're gathering up the forces as far as I can see. Okay. So I guess that's the letter. See, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. So that's it. I thought there was more. I was ready to go. So, folks, I don't know if you're aware of this kind of fare. I don't even know if it's real. I do know, however, when I read through it, however clever, I know how it makes me feel. If this isn't the real deal, somebody should pin it to the Pope, have him sign it, and send it to the dope that's currently in the White House. Yeah, I said it. Why not? You read it. All right, so thank you so much for tuning into the Doug Rice Show. What do you think of that, by the way? Talk to each other amongst chat. Like, share, subscribe, do all kinds of things like that. My name is Doug Rice, and I am the host of the Doug Rice Show. I've been doing this since 2001 as Doug Rice. Since before that, I was doing it as Amos A. Nunn, the Black Fact Checker, the incognito. And I was very, very rough, just so you know. I was 1,000 times more intense, for sure. But the following was not immense. I got ignored, which is okay. I typically get ignored because what I say is not popular. It's not pleasant. And for most folks, they don't want to talk about the subjects that we talk about. Today, we're going to discuss something that most folks have forgotten. As we bounce off that Pope letter, the Pope, if that letter is real, isn't real, Israel, you know how you feel. The facts can't be ignored for sure. The facts within that letter are 100% pure. And our being chattel slavery in this country has led to our current circumstance. And I dare say, you know, when people look at black poverty and you compare it to white poverty, you see the circumstances of the two circumstances are circumspect. You see, the reasons for there being poor white trash in America are far different for them being reasons there be hoods, if we call them, slums, ghettos, whatever acronym, whatever verbiage they use to describe the plight they created right before our eyes. We're not that way by choice. And I look at some people call it, you look at the waist of a perfectly good white dude. You ever seen that? And most of us have done that. We've looked, you know, usually they're the ones that they talk about hanging out with us and being relatable to us. And, you know, they date our women, they do all kind of shit. And I mean, let's just get to it, folks. I've heard of folks dating black people and still remaining prejudiced, still having that segregation in their mind. And I think in most of them, if you look deeply, that's what you'll find. So today we are going to talk about something that most folks don't, but what we won't do is talk about what Doug Rice don't. No, that kind of went left. Segregation in America. This is pretty good, actually. I thought this would make a very, very good show. The opening, dear goodness, didn't see that. All right, so Segregation in America. Now, this is from the Equal Justice Initiative, and they come at this from, you know, the point of hope and the point of the, you know, the hope and change that I guarantee will never rearrange. We will never get beyond the progress we've made. In fact, right now, we're just going to slide back. You heard what I said. Let me key you in on something, okay? You know when we lost? I'm going to tell you when Negroes lost in this country. I'm going to tell you when it was done. I'm going to tell you, son. Here it is. When Reverend Al Sharpton got his own goddamn show on MSNBC. That was the end of the bowel movement, okay? That was the end of the movement. That was the end. No more improvement. We now descend. That was it. I mean, and the reason I bring up Al, because I had such close proximity to him in being from New Jersey. And then, you know, I saw him when he was a bit larger. And he said things that were sensible back then. I mean that. That man was fearless and public and didn't give a damn. Now, he's in league with the Japhite clan. He's up there grinning and skinning and cheesing and pleasing and appeasing. And I mean, he carries a scowl on his face. But dear God, he looks so much out of place. That's right. He's a part of this segregation in America, the desegregation. He grew up in that era. I'm a child of this era. And let me tell you something. The children of today, they don't have a clue what went on. That most of them now, you know, they're removing this from school. So I would send this piece to your children at least. This they're taking away from the general public. Now there are 136 pages of this, and I offer this as a PDF. Be sure that if you choose to donate, that you understand you'll get these kind of informational publications as a way of showing gratitude to you, Negro Nation. These are the times we need to bring to mind. These are the times that we need to remember. From slavery to segregation. I don't know if this goes up. I might make that bigger. Let me see. I can do that. From slavery to segregation. Now, these are the contents. Now, I am 58 years old. I just turned 58 last October here. And I grew up in a household immersed in this era. I grew up in a household steeped up to its very hair follicles, literally drowned in this era. And slowly but surely, this kind of information is being withheld from the entire nation. Segregation in America. They don't want to talk about it. That might be too big. But we're going to. Now, these are some of the subjects: lynching and its legacy, the creation of Jim Crow, defending a way of life, the 1940s, which was a very interesting time, you know. Separate and unequal, the court's role. Massive resistance, delay the long road to school integration, which killed us. Integration is what killed Negroes and created African Americans. I'm hoping Negroes might be revived so we can run and get out of here for our very lives. School courses, segregation by force. Let me see. Beyond Brown. I don't know if you remember the Brown versus education. Opposition intensifies. Segregationist violence unchecked. Criminalization, the struggle for racial equality. Southern lawmakers, obstruction and incitement. Preserving racial inequality up north. Segregation forever. Leaders of white supremacy. Do you think that's gone away? Do you think segregation forever? The sentiment of that ideation is here to stay. It will never leave this country. It's now being awoken. It's now being rekindled by the likes of Donald Trump. And you know, it's not gonna leave. He looks frazzled these days. Did you look at his last truth? How segregation survived. It still survived. The segregation of the South, the North, the evolution of it, survival in the South and evolution in the North, and the inequality that remains. Confederate iconography in the 20th century, the monuments that we've had taken down, Confederate iconography in the Civil Rights era, the modern land manuscript. This is an introduction. Now, again, these folks have hope and change. I don't, okay? America's history of racial continues. The genocide of Native people, 250 years of enslavement of Black people, adoption of racial integrity laws that demonized ethnic immigrants and people of color, and enforcement of policies and practice designed to perpetuate white supremacy are all a part of our difficult present. Not a difficult past, it's current. This country has witnessed great triumph, innovation, and progress. Yeah, we are burdened by a painful history that we have yet to adequately acknowledge, nor will they ever acknowledge. In fact, what they're doing nowadays, folks, if I might take a moment, is they are reinforcing the denial. They no longer want a fair look and judge of history. They want more a fog of war to be the past that they want last. Now, this is a lot, okay? This is not something that I can read through and through. This is the first chapter. What I wanted to really look into were the photos that they have for us, okay? Here's one. So let me see if I can get the caption on that. I like to start at least with something that we can sink our teeth into. Men and boys pose beneath the body of Lidge Daniels, a Black man, shortly after he was lynched on August 3rd, 1920 in Center, Texas. Now, here's why I believe it's important you understand this, because segregation was supposed to be an improvement to this. And pay strict attention, if you will, as I ask you to share this live and help pay the bills. Look at the faces on these creatures. Ask yourself, where do you think their children are? Ask yourself, as you look at the benign abnormality of their kind, the sinister, deadpan look, as if they've done nothing. One in the back shows his toothless grin, just to bring the frame completely in. Doesn't it look wonderful? And you would think that they would have some sort of shame. You would think that they would be horrified by what hangs above them, but it is of their own making. Do you feel your boots shaking? I wanted to go over this. I want to kind of read the highlighted, more attentive areas. For a generation of white Americans who bitterly fought civil rights progress Eastland and leaders like him linked the era of racial terror in which they were born to the era of inequality and Jim Crow segregation. And the heading here, a legacy of lynching. In February 7th, 1904, black man and woman were tortured and killed. And as you can imagine, this goes on. But again, creation of Jim Crow. What we're about is looking at some of these photos. Don't you wish you were white? Do you think these people have left us? This is from July 1st, 1965. This was less than 4 months before I was born. 4 months. Here we've got young children waving a Confederate flag at a white citizens council meeting in New Orleans, Louisiana. This is 1960. 1960. Where do you think some of these people are still alive? 77% of black Americans still lived in the South in 1940, where they made up 24% of the population, but only 3.5% of registered voters. The white-controlled Democratic Party made white supremacy a central platform, excluded black members as a matter of policy, and dominated states' politics throughout the region. This is the vibration they exude. This is their common everyday kind of mood. In 1942, white people in Detroit attacked black families and rioted against a planned public housing project for black residents. The next year, some 25,000 white factory workers at Detroit's Packard Motor Company refused to work after 3 black workers were promoted. You understand why they tried to keep blacks from voting. You understand the sentiment, why we can't live in this land. The reverberation of that incident echoes with us today. Why do I say that? Because the generational wealth that could have been created could have been a barrier to the poverty and satiated all without us having been abated by the white supremacy that they created. This is not some fantasy we're talking about here, folks. This is real life. And you know, most our people paid the cost. That's why the cost can never be enough. Look at this. You need to understand what happened to black soldiers that came back from World War II. Why is this pertinent today? I'll tell you. First African-American troops ever to set foot in England, marching back to camp during World War II. Look at the looks on their face. Boy, I bet they feel out of place. Many black soldiers returned to the South determined to achieve double victory by fighting oppression on American soil, just as they had fought oppression abroad. So here we got the NAACP in 1944 lawsuit challenging the Democratic Party. All white primaries led to a decision striking down the practice in Texas, of all places, that ultimately ended segregation primaries in all southern states. So the Democrats in 1944 had to be sued by the NAACP to stop the prejudice they had in primaries, just to try to get vote. You fought hard to vote to get to be a part of a system that rejects you to this very day, and it's 2023. Now look, these gentlemen, these men risk their lives for the Israelis that are murdering Palestinians who sold us into slavery by the thousands. That's right, don't you ever forget. These men went to World War III. They were in different parts of the world. They had theaters at that time. They had the Pacific Theater. They had the European Theater. And they had the African Theater. And in all 3 of these war areas, these men were sent, black men, first time integrated into the army to fight next to white men who were fighting for what? What were they fighting for? They were fighting for the state of Israel. And they came back from the fight to establish the state of Israel under the conditions of segregation, under the conditions of white supremacy being enforced on the communities of black people trying only to elevate themselves above the hatred so malevolently applied to them every day, constantly, and near always. And yes, that was back in them days. But today it's more a subtle application of their racist ideation. Today it's less overt and more covert. Today it's more under wraps, you know, like that. And these men fought, died, gave their lives, sacrificed themselves for two countries. One, a country which will not acknowledge that the Negroes that are fighting and dying for the state of Israel have more place there than those they are fighting and dying for. And another country that upon return, the racist sentiment is so damn deep, no one can ignore. Segregation in America is nowhere near over. Now it's a mental segregation. Now, again, this publication is chock full of photos, which I like. I like to read the photos or look at the photos. Here we have what happens when a black man back then goes to vote. I don't believe he's going to drop the note. I think if he votes, that's all she wrote. And that's their sentiment. Now, I got to ask you, do you think that went somewhere? Do you think the hatred, the ability to take life, threaten life, be a life-threatening force due to suppression of the rights that you feel others should not have, yet you have? And I mean, where do you think this went? Do you think it's gone? No, it's still going on strong. Here we got Harper's Weekly, September. We'll read a little bit. Even when enforcing its own separate but equal doctrine, the court showed little commitment to the equal requirement. In Cumming versus Richmond County Board of Education, 55 years before Brown, the court upheld the school's board decision to close the black high school, but kept open the white high school because it concluded it is impractical to distribute taxes equally. The court absolved itself of responsibility for ensuring equality in education, writing that the education of the people in schools maintained by state tax is a matter of belonging to the respective states. And so we know the states were nothing but racist, white supremacist, backwater rednecks, which still exist today. In places like Tennessee, West Virginia, Mississippi, where you think these folks are? Where you think their kin is? Arkansas. Same places they've always been. Georgia, Florida, Louisiana, Texas. And look at the photo. Together, they maintain suppression of the black vote by keeping their feet upon the black man's head. Well, at least it ain't a knee, because then he'd be dead. Massive resistance. Now listen to this, folks. Now, segregation, this thing that nearly just drove them mad, was met with massive resistance. If we can organize the South State for massive resistance to this order, I think that in time the rest of the country will realize that racial integration is not going to be accepted in the South. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. The racial segregation they're talking about has never been accepted in the South. Don't fool yourselves just because they grin and smile. Okay? This kind of racist, backwater, white supremacy is still their style. Where do you think these folks are, bro? Wait, come on, man. Look at this. Crowd protests the admission of black students to Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas. When? In 1959. Where you think this person's grandson is. And what you think you'll find. Huh? What? Race mixing is communism. Stop race mixing. We don't belong here. We never belonged here. Stop feeling comfortable here. Prepare yourselves for your second exodus. If you remember the description of this particular live, this is about just trying to survive so that we may leave this place, because they do not want and are anywhere our Negro face. This is not a place for us. This still exists, unless there's a point that I've missed, and I don't miss points. Let's go. I'm going to read this one. The Supreme Court was a reliable partner in maintaining slavery and in the campaign to rebuild and strengthen racial hierarchy and white supremacy after the Civil War. When the court changed course in the mid-20th century and began striking down laws that authorized racial discrimination and segregation, many people in the South felt betrayed. On May 17, 1954, in Brown versus Board of Education of Topeka, Supreme Court unanimously invalidated racial segregation in public education, reasoning that segregated public schools were inherently unequal and violated the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. And by overturning the nearly 60-year-old precedent of separate but equal, Brown threatened to dislodge a cornerstone of the Southern racial caste system, the caste system that still exists today. Brown outraged white segregationists as much as it energized civil rights activists. Throughout the South, where state constitutions and state law mandated segregated schools, white people decried the decision as a tyrannical exercise of federal power. Within months, Brookhaven, Mississippi, Circuit Court Judge Thomas Pickens Brady published a pamphlet that predicted Brown would harm both races. Now, I want you to listen to this white man's reasoning. What the Supreme Court needs to do is to spend about 30 days in Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, or East Texas, and associate intimately with the average Negro family. It should do this in August, mind you, and then the Supreme Court would have a passing understanding of the Negro and his problems, and its decision would not embody within it such foolishness, as many Negroes have achieved outstanding success in the arts and sciences, as well as in the business and professional world. Insofar as the South is concerned, the Southern Negro knows we are not his friend. Oh, I'm sorry. We have provided his material necessities when he could not do so for himself. Really. Gradually, we have opened the door of opportunity to him, and will continue to do so. The South has produced some Negroes of considerable wealth and ability. Doctors, lawyers, and educators, ministers, businessmen, and farmers can be found among them, but one swallow does not make a summer. And let me tell you something, man. These white people still exist. They are in the federal government and serve as your senators, your congressmen, these au-fait fossils from the fucking 50s, you know, and they preserve the South just with the move of their mouth. It's kind of interesting, you know. People think this is over. People think this is done. People think that Negroes no longer have to run, but run you will, Negroes, yet and still, I suppose. You might run from this one or his kin. Who knows, someone like this might do you in. Millions of white parents nationwide acted to deny black children equal education by voting to close and defund public schools. transferring their children to private white-only schools and harassing and violently attacking black children while their own children watched or participated. Don't you let it forget your Negro notice what these people descend from. And they are quietly gathering themselves. Do you understand, being Negro? We are in the kind of danger that if I were to stop a stranger and relate to him our circumstances, they would suggest that we take no chances. You wonder why we get those suspicious glances? There are the originators. Look at him holding up a sign. All he got is keep Alabama white on his mind. Here we go. Black workers leave Florida for New Jersey in July 1940. That may have been how I arrived. Who knows? I was born in Jersey. It's a sordid tale. But I am a Negro, no doubt, and without fail. Now, what happened to that? What happened to us? This was even before we got put on the back of the bus. We weren't allowed on the damn bus back then. You better have your own way of traveling then. But what happened to that family, that unit? The only way we are ever going to get anywhere close to that is to get out of this country. That's it. We can't consolidate. We can't commiserate. We can't congeal. We can't talk openly and honestly about how each of us feel. And the notion of freedom until we are out of this country cannot be real. So this book, The Segregation in America, as we take a look, we see what's on their mind. Negroes beware. They called us Negroes. See there? Do not attend communist meetings. Paid organizers of the communists are only trying to get who? Negroes. In trouble. Alabama is a good place for good who? Negroes. Okay, I mean, they keep telling us that you're Negroes, but everybody's like, you know, I get tired of people telling me, is this the 1960s? Yes, it's before that. It's the 1840s. You want to go there? It's the 1600s. Y'all ain't going to be happy until they lynching us again out in the open. Y'all are not going to be happy till at the end, Negroes, they're roping. Y'all ain't going to be happy. You're not going to be happy. Just going to let your hair be nappy. Damn it. I'm trying to wake you up. We are in danger. That's what's up. We are in danger. This is being revived right before our very eyes. If you don't think Donald Trump is a Klansman, if you don't think those that follow him have enough insanity within them to push ahead towards a civil war, and let me tell you something, they'll start with each other. Us, they won't ignore. I'm going to tell you this plainly. What may happen is that they begin to murder one another. And, you know, if they can get their hands on us, they might kill a brother. That's what's real. That's how I feel. Look at this. What year was this? Wait, what year was this? Oh, 1933. Got the address and everything, just so you see. Okay? So they're into school segregation. If we can remember this, we remember this. Look at this. Y'all want to talk about something? We're right now we're on the topic of all that's happening over in Israel. Okay? Everything that's happening over, and you know what? I understand that's been happening for a long time in that land. But while they're on the topic of each other, let's talk about what's happening to one another. Look at this. This top photo, the one right here, that top photo. Look at the face on this one here. Look. What is the deal? The abject, I mean, you know how that must make her feel? I know it makes her feel real good. I wonder when she looks at this picture, and you know this chick is still alive. I wonder what she said. She cannot escape from her racist No, she can't. No, she's racist to this very day. She has no choice because that picture says more than her voice. So she's racist. So the top picture is segregationist protesters surround Elizabeth Eckford, one of 9 Black students to integrate Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas, 1957. And reflecting on the experience decades later, Miss Eckford observed, "True reconciliation can only occur when we honestly acknowledge our painful but shared past." Well, I guess true reconciliation ain't never gonna get here, nor will it ever last. The bottom picture is Grace McKinley, and she's walking with her daughter. Now, I need you to understand what's happening. Don't look away, look right at it. You like and share and subscribe this while you're at it. You hear me? Yeah, don't look away, because you see what you're seeing. You see these beings, they've got their children involved. Some of them look a little confused. Some of the kids haven't developed the racist notion in their minds yet enough to think that they're a different kind. They just look at them as kids, but they're going to follow the lead of their children, and that's it. God is the author of segregation. And look at the look of determination on this sister's face. This one looks scared, and this one looks ready for anything there. Here we go. Let's see. A group of teenage girls scream obscenities at Black students entering their high school in Montgomery. Now, she probably got married, had some kids, you know. Pro-segregation lawmakers vocally opposed Brown. In March 1956, most of the South's representatives in Congress, 19 senators and 77 representatives, signed Virginia Senator Harry Byrd's Southern Manifesto on Integration, which condemned Brown as a clear abuse of judicial power orchestrated by outside agitators and pledged the South to all lawful means of resistance. Do you think that went away? Negroes, pay attention. You hear what I'm saying? Do you think that this woman went away? Do you think that her sentiment, that her actions are somehow erased as she screams in a Negro's face? No. Here's another, look at this. This is why I wanted to do this one. Wow. Wow. I mean, if Negroes looked like that, against some white folks trying to come to school with them, can you imagine what would happen to us? Take it all in, because they got kin. They gave birth, and they're still on this earth. That hatred is still within them. So they're still on Brown. There she is, just sitting down. So Donna Jean Barksdale, age 11, sits alone on her first day in school, 21 children integrated. There she is. And look, no one sitting next to her. Yeah, folks, there is a reason we want a white school. Dear God. Dear God. You know, they don't want you to see this. They'd rather you didn't understand the kind of racist sentiments still held within this land. But when they do stuff like this, folks, you know they're not telling jokes. You know, they're not messing around. Oh, I can move that. I didn't know that. So in 1956, a white mob hung an African-American effigy at the top of Mansfield High School flagpole in where? Texas. The effigy was hung and burned in response to 12 Black students desegregating the school. You mean you did all that? Somebody got up there and did all that because 12 Black children were coming to their school. Look at this. You think that went away? Look at this. Students burn desegregation literature. Where? Alabama, 1956, in response to the enrollment of one Black woman. That's what they did. One Black woman. Where do you think these people are? You think all these people are dead? You think all these people have not procreated? You think they haven't had children and babies and racist white nationalists that pepper the landscape of this racist country every day? Are you kidding me? Just because they stay out the way, they exist. I insist. Hundreds of white students protest at the, I can make that bigger, at the University of Mississippi at Oxford, 1962. So that's in Mississippi. That's just a few years. Still got the sentiment. That's why I say it's still here. Whoa. Beyond Brown. Now they're going beyond Brown. Look at this. This is the bombing of a church. 16th Street Baptist Church bombing. Remember this? Huh? Remember that? Yeah, this is going to be a good one. Remember this? Birmingham, Alabama, 4 children murdered, 1963. So we've gone from the 1930s, 40s, 50s, and they still have this sentiment. What makes you think that since 1963 till 2023, they're still doing all the things we can see? They're still threatening to bomb schools. They're killing us. And they still have the racist ideation deep within they're carrying tiki torches. Everybody forgets the tiki torches, don't they? Everybody forgets that January 6, 2021, that was littered with Proud Boys, which is a white nationalist organization that Donald Trump empowered and told to stand by. Don't nothing miss my eye. A bus boycott here is a painful economic. Oh, so they're getting the bus boycott. Now, I understand the bus boycott was put on. I understand that was a communist plan. But the resultant reaction is exactly what gave them satisfaction. Here they are shooting at King, shooting at something. That's in the summer of 1964. My goodness, Dr. King inspects a bullet hole in the glass door. That's in 1964, yes. Civil rights struck by water from fire. See, the reason this is important, you need to see this, is because they want to cancel this kind of memory and this remembrance. They don't want you to see that this is where we came from. This isn't over, okay? This is not over. This is still happening, and it's happening in the minds of those quiet masses that are amassing currently. Between 1955 and 1963, black civil rights activists with the targets of no fewer than 21 bombings in Birmingham, Alabama, earning it the moniker Bombingham. Did you know that? It used to be called Bombingham. I didn't know that. Sexual violence against black women. That's a subject that could take a whole show. A young girl named Edith Lee Payne participates for jobs. Look at the pain on her face, the determination in place, the poised and steady grace. That's a strong sister right there. And of course, they do kill us. Yeah, they will kill us. There we go with Marilee Evers, the widow of Medgar Evers, comforts their son Daryl at his father's funeral. Medgar Evers was murdered June 12, 1963, outside of his home, getting out of his car underneath his carport. A cowardly white male, disgruntled failure of a human being, decided to kill this honorable, gracious black male, and it was vile and it was obscene. You know what I mean? And below, we have Joanne Robinson, a black woman, an English professor at Alabama State College, key organizer and backbone of the bus boycott. So she was in the hands, I guess, of those that were orchestrating that and got her just desserts. And Mr. King, young Mr. King. Well, there you go. My father knew this gentleman. His end was not well. There's a lot behind his story to tell. Oh, well. And in response to the Montgomery bus boycott, police arrested scores of black activists and carpool drivers on phony traffic charges and tried to disbar the black lawyer who filed a lawsuit challenging bus segregation. What is wrong with these people in this nation? Amelia Boynton is beaten unconscious by state troopers in Selma, Alabama during the march in 1965, just a few months before I was born. They don't want you to remember this. No. They'd rather that this history you miss. Yeah. The centrality of police violence in maintaining white supremacy still goes on today. Look at these creatures. Mississippi Highway patrolmen watch marchers as they arrive in Montgomery on March 25th, 1965. I wonder what they're waiting for. Maybe to take a life, who knows? You know, you think those men are gone? Do you think those men have moved on? Those men are embedded in the men they left behind. They have this sinister way of regurgitating their kind. Well, if we go back to King's arrest and his being on the counter, we might counter this arrest with this. New York City police arrested demonstrator during a march held for 16-year-old Kamani Gray, who was shot to death on a Brooklyn street by a plainclothes police officer in 2013. Yeah, that's enough brutality and violence, if you know what I mean. Look at that. Look at them. 1, 2, 3, 4 white people to take this kid down. Wow. He's pretty strong, I guess. Yeah, here we go. Yep, here we go. More, this is in color. Now, I need you to understand the ramifications of water and pressure. I need you to understand that they didn't take caution and measure. What they did was they turned on the spigot as high as it could go so they could let that water flow. And I tell you what, it hurt, you know. And the damage done wasn't something that you could run from. It was permanent almost. They hurt people. And if they stop doing this, that's how bad this is, okay? How about that? You want to know how bad this was? They stopped doing it. You don't see them doing this anymore. You know why? Because it was totally fucked up. It hurt like hell. I mean, it didn't happen to me, but I had other folks tell. Officials who oppose civil rights systematically and strategically framed their rhetoric as calls for law and order, arguing that Martin Luther King Jr.'s philosophy of civil obedience was a leading cause of crime. No, the response to it was the cause and the crime. May 4th, 1963, police arrest and jail black school children in Birmingham for protesting a kiss. Yes! Look at it! Wait a minute. Maybe you didn't hear me. I said look at it. Look at it. You think those people weren't affected by that occurrence? Can you imagine what they did to those children when they got them outside of public view? I need you to understand that these folks are terrorists. And they took these kids behind closed drawers and did their very best. Look at this. Segregationists taunt Peaceful Rights Act protesters as they march from Selma. Look at this one. Look at them all. Look at them. These people have not left the earth. These people have also given birth. Yeah. So we need to leave this country. After black students sought service at a segregated Montgomery cafeteria in 1960, angry white residents attacked black shoppers. A white man with a baseball bat swings at a black shopper while another attacks a black woman with a closed fist. Take a look at that. Take a look at this. Yeah, I'm gonna make you look at it. This is the memory they'd rather we forget. Look at how this is happening. A coward of a man Look at that. Hitting a woman on, just hitting her while her back is turned. And you wonder why I tell you to get that goddamn grin off your faces. And let me tell you why. The reverberation of that strike is still echoing around this world. You hear me? Every shot, every hit, every brutality is still confined within this earth, enshrined as a testimony to them. And God Almighty will come back and give a reckoning to them. That's what they do. I am willing to go as far and make as great a sacrifice to preserve and ensure white supremacy in the social, economic, and political life of our state as any man who lives within her borders. Richard Russell, given his orders. Alabama Freedom Riders attacked in Alabama. Alabama segregation has hurled a firebomb into this bus. Take a look at it. Take a good look. Firebomb. These creatures did this and then went home and had children and taught them to do the same thing. If you look closely enough in some of these places where they still reside, in places like Alabama and all these other places in mine, you'll find that they still exist. And the supposed segregation, they still resist. We know who that is. Yeah, he took a beating, didn't he? He did take a beating. Took a beating for the cause. That's right after the March over Selma. February 27, 1960. Young white men attack a sit-in demonstrator at Woolworth's lunch counter where? Tennessee. That happened, folks. They don't want this in schools. There's Dr. King. The National Association for Advancement, they hold a rally. So I guess they would call I guess we are to call these folks the good ones, I guess. No, I don't know. I'm joking. Rights, National States Rights and Party, what is that? Benefits white womanhood. Oh my goodness. The average man in the northern states agrees entirely with the position that we take. Okay. Wow. Young white men with a Confederate flag and racist sign jeer at civil rights marchers in the South Side of Chicago in 1966. Look at them. Where do you think they are? They're still in the mix. Police beat a black man in Harlem, New York, 1964. Don't look away. This you can't ignore. Don't look away. That's what they do to us. They don't want this taught in schools. It makes them feel bad. So here we go into this chapter, and I'm going to go all the way, folks. I'm going all the way. Segregation forever. Leaders of white supremacy. Okay? When we remember the names, actions, faces, and words of segregationist leaders, we better understand their nationwide campaign to reject racial equality and maintain white supremacy and recognize the power and influence they wield then and now. This is not gone away. This is here. So these two are segregationists, both in positions of power. Look at their quotes. I do not believe in the two societies should mix. Then get your ass out of here. And quick. I'm a segregationist, aren't we all? Well, yeah, you are all, without fail. Here's another one. I don't run from the N-word, but I run them from me. Well, how long did you live? Because I'd sure like to see. Oh, get out of here, dude. Ain't nobody run from you ever in your life alone. Horatio Seymour. Horatio, listen, what are you talking about? You got bigger problems than what black people are doing, bro. Horatio Seymour. Okay, buddy, I know why you are a white supremacist. That's because it takes away Takes attention away from your name. Because you got to be governor because of that fame. Can you believe that one? Horatio Seymour, man, how can you even be racist? Dude, you ought to start some kind of movement against name, prejudice. Okay, moving on. Yeah, these two. Like I said, they're descendants. This one was in 1810 to 1886. This one was 1896 to 1890 to 1965. What do you think he produced? Theodore, he's a racist sumbitch. Look at him. Good Lord. Boy, and now if there's one you gonna run from, you might run from this one here. That one you might run one from right there. It is essential to the perpetuation of our Anglo-Saxon civilization that white supremacy be maintained. And to maintain our civilization, there is only one solution. And that is either by segregation within the United States or by deportation of the entire Negro race. I opt for option 2. Now, what you gonna do? Now, this was said by this man. He's now dead, but he's got a clan. And no matter the ideations he professes span generations, they'll confess it. And we as Negroes need to address it. Look at this. This is abhorrently vile evil. And he talks about the perpetuation of an Anglo. Well, I got to look into something. Why is the only way to maintain your supremacy by either segregation or deportation? Why wouldn't the supremacy of supreme beings stand on its own without any need for any adjustments? If you are supreme Anglo-Saxons and your civilization is above all civilizations, then there can be no damage done by any affect or insinuation. You are a supreme nation. So why, if you are so supreme and you need this perpetuation, why do you have to get rid of the Negro nation? Huh, Theodore? Bilbo, man? Okay. Bob Jones, here's another one. Hey, Bob. If we would just listen to the word of God and try not to overthrow God's established order of white people on top, we would not have any trouble. You wouldn't. God never meant for America to be a melting pot to rub out the lines between the nations. That was not God's purpose for this nation. Really? You sweaty, overweight piece of, no, it's too late. You're gone. And you've got your sons to move on. So this guy here was an evangelist. I'm not going to read about him. I don't worth my read. Plus, they're not going to have any kind of filled need. Look at this. So this one's a right. So where do you think he had children? He had grandkids. Do you think his grandkids will denounce Bob Jones? I think not. I think not. Orville Fabus. I will never open the public schools as integrated institution. Orville, did you go to school? And this clown was born and governor, a racist. Orville Fabus. Or who named you, man? Y'all folks got problems. This one, Jack Gramillion, Attorney General. I have fought integration with all the talent and vigor I possess. These are the folks that had children. Need I address? Their sentiment still runs through every one of their kin. Here's another one. All we need to do is to insist that the Negro get back in line. This is the president. And they call us Negroes. You'll continually find. The South loves the Negro in his place, but his place is at the back door. You still got that grin on your face? Huh? I'm sure. Segregation in America, history not forgotten. Where do you think these people went in the graves as they are rotten? Huh? What do you think? What you think that their think just went with their stink? No, their think is within their kin. I'll say it again and again. That's why they run around with their fists in the air. Good Lord. Eugene Bull Connor. I remember this guy. I remember he's a racist. All you got to do is tell them you're going to bring the dogs. Look at them run. Bring the dogs anyway, Captain. See, these are the people. This guy here is the guy that orchestrated the Alabama rampage. George Wallace got shot by somebody out in public and tried to shoot him dead square. And unfortunately, he remained alive. And there it is right there. I didn't like this dude. He was a piece of human filth. In the name of the greatest people that ever trod this earth, I draw the line in the dust and toss the gauntlet before the feet of tyranny. I say segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever. No, for as long as it took somebody to put a bullet in your ass, and that was clever. Let me tell you why it was clever, because he ended up having to be taken care of by a black caretaker that had more mercy on him than I would have ever had. I don't give a damn, because he was really bad. Lester Maddox, Alan Allender, look at this. If necessary, we should close our schools for a month or a year or two. We'd better that than to have free children than slave children. It's a sad spectacle, to say the least, and it leads one to the inevitable conclusion that up to now, the Negro race has not shown itself capable of effective self-government. You understand who these people are? You understand why we need to go far from these malevolent pieces of shit. And that's it. How dare they? But one day, James Eastland, John Stennis, those who would mix little children of both races in our schools are following an illegal, immoral, and sinful doctrine. We are not going to comply with the Supreme Court decision putting white and blacks together, but the least we advertise that fact, the better. These are these people. And this one lived till 95. Huh? Now, Willis McKell, look at that one. Folks, I'm pretty sure white man's country will always remain a white man's country. That's James Burns, and he was the U.S. Senator, South Carolina Associate, and U.S. Supreme Court, obviously. You see what we're up against? Do you see why Negroes must leave? Harry Byrd, James Clark. The order to desegregate public schools has brought Virginia to its greatest crisis since the war between the states. Look at this. We're getting along all right. See what I'm saying? They'll go on. Let's move on to how segregation survived. Read that quote with your very eyes. This is where you are as a Negro in America. This is where you are. See? White children protest desegregation in Chicago. Yep, this is where you are, folks. Yeah, that's no longer around, right? Oh, the Klan's no longer around, right? You believe that? You believe the Klan is no longer around, right? I bet you do. I bet you do. 7-year-old, seven-year-old, dressed in a Ku Klux Klan robe, rides in a Ku Klux Klan motorcade in 56. What you think is going on? You think this still ain't in the mix? Wow, 7 years old. 7 years old in 1956. That man's still alive. He's like 70-something years old right now. And I wonder if he remembers this photo. Huh. So throwing out pre-clearance when it had worked and it's continuing to work to stop discrimination changing is like throwing away your umbrella in a rainstorm because you're not getting wet. They want this country a white nationalist country. They've said it openly. This is an echo from the past that is still amongst us. Look at young girls in Los Angeles play in front of a wall marked with hateful epitaph. This is a school. A grade school student, this is our school in 1965. And then when they did this, they defunded the schools so that we couldn't go to a school with their lily white asses. And so they did this to keep black people out of their classes. And if you don't think this sentiment is still within the masses, well, you obviously need glasses. What you think Ron DeSantis is about? Ron DeSantis, the right-wing fascist Italian meatball of a motherfucker. What you think he don't want students in Florida to see this for? He doesn't want this frame in their minds. I truly believe he thinks his children are as weak-minded as they tend to be, because he wants to pretend that we didn't go over this. And he wants this history his children to miss. And I'll be goddamned. Take a look at this. In Boston, 1974, school committee chairman John Kerrigan voted to defy the order and developed no plan. This vote against those maggots that live outside the city, he announced, this is a vote against us, and it's the proudest vote I've been cast in the 70s. They're a hate-filled group. They still are a hate-filled group. You are surrounded by silent hate that is about to lift its voice. And you better decide to leave this country before you have no choice. Here we go. On July 17th, Harvard University Civil Rights Project published a study reporting that school districts across the nation, particularly in the South, were resegregating at an alarming rate. Look at this, white tenants in our community. Where do you think this went? A sign mounted in 1942. We go back to 42 here. Hold on. Directly across from the Sojourner Truth Homes, a federal housing project in Detroit, Michigan, white residents rioted when their black neighborhoods attempted to move in, when their black neighbors. Look at that. See this in front of me? Look at this. Folks, this is today. This is resurging. You can feel it on their minds. The need is urging. Pro-segregation march in Montgomery, Alabama on March 17th, 1965, the year I was born. Look at that. Fire them. This is who they are. This is who they are. This is who they are. This is from 1974. 1974, not 1956. This is 1974. Whites have rights. Oh, do you? We thought you had all of them, actually. This now, anti-racist is code word for anti-white. I've never even heard of anti-racist. The Confederate iconography in the 20th century. Watch this, folks. They love this shit. Look at this. Man, 1917, the Daughters of the Confederacy unveiled the Southern Cross Monument in Arlington, Virginia. Look at that monstrosity in all its glory. And they love it. Hold on, let me get this gory. Look at that. Look at that. Like, subscribe, and share. Look at this, folks. There it is there. And these creatures still exist. The Daughters of the Confederacy still exist. And they are a white nationalist organization that supported our extermination. Can you believe this? Members of the Ku Klux Klan burned a large cross in 1948, the same year that Israel became a state. Isn't that great? Look at that. Who are these people, I wonder? Who are these people? I don't know who these people might be. Who could these people be under their goddamned hooded sheets? Cowards, that's what they are. Let me make the thought complete. Coward asses. So the iconography, Children of the Confederacy Creed. Let's peruse and take a read. Because we desire to perpetuate in love and honor the heroic deeds of those who enlisted in the Confederate Army and upheld its flag through the 4 years of war. We, the children of the South, have united in an organization called Children of the Confederacy, in which our strength, enthusiasm, and love of justice can exert its influence. We therefore pledge ourselves to preserve pure ideals, to honor our veterans, to study and teach the truths of our history, one of the most important of which is that the war between the states was not a rebellion, nor was the underlying cause of sustain slavery, and to always act in a manner that will reflect honor upon our noble and patriotic ancestors. Erected by Texas Division of the Confederate Children of the Confederacy in 1959. What else they got on their mind? So that is a 2017 photograph that shows the Children of the Confederacy Creed plaque that was installed at the Capitol in Austin, Texas in 1959 during the heart of the Civil Rights Movement. What do they have in mind? Here we go. Klan members hold a press conference, in 1980. Okay. In front of the Nathan Bedford Forrest bust of the Capitol in Nashville, Tennessee in 1980 to discuss training SWAT teams in preparation for the race war. No. Take a look. No. Get the book. I'll send this to you as well. You can have this for your own. Oh, do tell, huh? Current landscape. Here we got the defender of the Selma Wizard of the Saddle, unto the most. Oh, what the fuck? This monument celebrating Nathan Bedford Forrest was unveiled in Selma, Alabama in when? 1950. Say it again. Wow. This is from 2015. Excuse me. 2015, they put that up. Let me go back up here a little bit. Boom. There it is. There it is. The defender of Selma, wizard of the saddle, untutored genius, the first with the most. This was put up in 2015, folks. No joke. I keep telling you that we are in trouble. I keep telling you, these are the states. These are the states: Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana. Monuments. Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Virginia. Monuments. Flag up there. The Sons of the Confederate Veterans installed a Confederate flag on a 100-foot pole an interstate in when? 2005. They did that in 2005 to keep the Confederacy alive. Monuments. So that looks like that's all she wrote. We know, folks, segregation is still here. The Confederacy is still here. These people are still here. Sorry. And as we go about the task of trying to outlast prophecy, we can only imagine the near impossibility of that, because these folks are beyond measure nothing to treasure. All right, that's it. That's all I can really do. I appreciate your attention. We did an hour and 43 minutes. There are more of you in this live than have ever been before. So let me also say we have the PDF giveaway, not giveaway, but it's the PDF list and PDF pricing. I just want you to know that we provide these upon any kind of donation. And we have quite a few of them, quite a few. I want to put up the donation list, but unfortunately it's not. Oh, wait, can I do that? Oh, nope. I can't put up the list because it's sideways, but we do have a donation list. Those are the donation edifices that you can use below. I do appreciate your time and attention on the Doug Rice Show. I appreciate that, folks. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to keep going because, there's just no way of me knowing, but I will go for as long as I can go to provide you this Negro info. All right? That's what okay. Well, that's what I'm going to do anyway. All right, thanks so much for showing up. I do appreciate your time, and as usual, please show your appreciation for my rhyme. Thank you so much for Detrina being there and making sure everybody is square. Hey, you guys have a really, really good day, and I will see you around because I have nothing left to say. Bye-bye. Wait, hold on, wait a minute, hold on, I forgot because I've been at this quite a lot. You know, we're at the precipice of something happening. I don't know if we last the weekend. The armies are moving in place. I mean, it's happening right in front of our face. It almost appears that Armageddon is near. And so there's no reason to be of good cheer. Do you understand that? So if, and I do mean if, you have to show up in public places, do me a favor, folks, get that goddamn grin off your faces. All right, you may go. Bye-bye.